Well, good morning. Here in Toronto, it is rainy and gray, and I have got this dress that's just going to brighten up everything today. I just absolutely adore this dress. So hopefully that's not coming across on your screen far too crazy. My name is Lianne Phillipson. I am a registered nutritionist for anybody who's just coming to me and haven't seen me speak before. And today I'm going to talk about back to school lunches. I just did a segment on Cityline, on City TV's Cityline, so I will post that as well on the blog on sproutright.com, so you'll be able to get even more information from what I did in that segment. So let's just get straight down to it. Back to school lunches are probably one of the most dreaded things as a parent, and I think as I started, good morning, Leslie. I think as I started my journey into lunches and stuff like that for my daughter, for my first daughter anyway, as she went to kindergarten, I was like, okay, I just have to keep on packing good stuff. So it does get overwhelming, and I want to kind of break that down a little bit for you so that it's not as dreaded as it might be, and just in some great tips and some really great ways to be able to start the year and continue the year in a really easy way. So first of all, I'm going to give you some tips. You might go to Pinterest, you might find other TV segments or suggestions or what people have said or favorite things for lunch that your kids absolutely adore. And you may think, oh, this is a great idea. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I want you to write it down as you go through the first week and the second week of feeding, making lunches for your kids making lunches for themselves. I'll break that down in a couple of minutes. I want you to write everything down. Now on sproutright.com, I've got a couple of fantastic downloads for you. So you can use this in a couple of ways. So this one here, I don't think it'll go backwards. So this is a Sproutright weekly lunch planner. So this is for kids to write in. This is for you to write in. If you want, you can use this as you start the first week, because this week you're going to be inspired, you're going to have your best ideas, and then by either next week or next month, then all of a sudden you're going to be thinking, I don't know what to put in your lunch anymore, and you're not going to remember back to that food that they adored, that they loved. Then maybe they've moved past it. We go through phases. Maybe guacamole is the thing right now that they love, and then they're like, I'm not so sure about that anymore, and then they come back to it again. So you have to remember so that they can also try it, because sometimes I overeat something. I think, no, I'm not going to touch sushi for a little while or something like that. It doesn't mean I don't like sushi anymore. It's just, and then somebody says, oh, let's go have some sushi. Oh yeah, I haven't had sushi for ages. So it's the same kind of thing with your kids. So write everything down first as you go through that first week, as you go through that first month even. Just grab a notebook. I've got millions of notebooks all around here. Jot it down, stick something on the fridge. Now this is available, free download on sproutright.com on the back to school blog page. So make sure you get this and download a bunch so that you can start to plan. You take what you had for dinner, you make a leftover the next day. There's all sorts of things that you can do to just make it super simple. And also on sproutright.com, we've got the Smart Kids Smart Kids breakfast and lunch meal plan. So that has got a meal plan, it's got recipes, it's got ideas, it's got wrap ideas, it's got skewer ideas, all sorts of stuff are going on in that meal plan, and it's super cheap. So let's talk about some food and some gear. So well.ca were absolutely amazing. I got in touch with them and said, I'm doing a segment. Can you send me please a bunch of stuff? And I just gave them a long list, and that's exactly what they did. So thank you so much, well.ca, for doing that. I've got the best gear. I've got a few lunch boxes over here, sort of hiding my printer, but really just because I love this one here. My daughter's definitely wanting to hold on to that. It's just so fun. It's vibrant. So my dress is just such a bold color. And then there's all these different containers. I'm looking off to the side because I have a really big pile here. So I'm just going to bring them into the shot. So this is a yummy box. I'm not going to go through every single one, but I want to show you what some of the newer lunch boxes have going on. So this, let me just close it up. So it's got this, which for kindergarten kids really needs to be easy to pop open. Really easy to pop open. And then it just takes a little bit of a shove to get it open, because there's all of this silicone up here can you see that this here matches down there? So the yogurt and the berries and all that kind of stuff, even if it goes in the bottom of the backpack and gets turned upside down, yes, it might end up on the lid, but basically when you seal it, that silicone is sealing so that all the sauce and dips and all those kind of things are not going to go everywhere. How many times have I heard, well, it was a bit soggy, or this was covered in that, and this, so just any excuse for them not to eat something, or that, I didn't really like the look of it. So this is a great box for a kindergarten snack. And then this, so this is the yummy box. And then there's this also, the yummy box again. Just here, I've got all these Post-it notes from when I did City Line. And then look at this one. This, I think, is one of my favorites. So I'll see if I can tip it up just enough without losing all my crackers and stuff like that. So this one actually has labels or kind of names behind. So we've got dairy, there's fruit back there, there's veggies here, there's grains, protein, and then this one I think was just like a strawberry or something like that. Again, it has all of this silicone stuff going on here, so things aren't going to meld and mush into everything else. So I do think this for the kindies is fantastic, and for any kid that's starting to build their own lunch, because when you have all these sections in there, not that I think that everybody, as a nutritionist, I don't think everybody needs to have dairy every single day, but you can talk around that. And if there are any allergies to anything like this, then you just put in your different ones, or with your meal planner, with your Sprout Right weekly meal planner, then you can just swap out what's going to go in the dairy box, what's going to go in the grain, the protein, the veggies, and the fruit. I do wish that this was much bigger, because when you look at my sheet at the bottom here, can you see that plate? There we go. I'm giving you guidance on what the lunch needs to be, the breakdown of what that essentially kind of proportions of the lunch needs to be. So this is a fantastic one. And again, look for these that have the silicone at the top, because when you squeeze it down, it's not a big squeeze, when you put it down and lock it up, nothing is coming out. There's going to be no wet bottom of the backpack, nothing like that. One of the other favorite ones, this is an OMI, O-M-I-E, this box here. So they could actually just carry this like this. I've got the little 3 to 6, kind of 3 to 6, grade 3 to 6 maybe. Let me just, now this one is taking me a little more to open up. Okay, so I did have to get a little bit of something going on in there, a bit more muscle, so maybe not for your kindies. So this does have that silicone around it again. And this big one here is actually for this. It's a thermos. So you can put that right in there if it's like a soup day, if it's a pasta day, if it's a gnocchi day, ravioli, all sorts of stuff. So it's just because I'm holding it up. I'm just going to put it down. I'm going to put it in, and actually I was doing it in the wrong way. There we go. It's like a jigsaw. If you get it in the right way, it slides right in. And then there's the lid, which goes on like this. So I did have some soup in this, and presto. So you can have something nice and hot in here. We've got the veggies, we've got some olives, and some wraps, which are super, super easy to do. This one does just take a little more muscle to get open. So maybe not for your kindies, because they're going to say, "Can you get my lunchbox open, Mom?" And then they're not going to eat anything. What have I got here? This one, jumping all over the place a little bit. So this is a cute little pineapple. This one does not have, so this has got some guacamole that's looking a little, like it was put in there yesterday. So this one has a little bit of silicone here. I'm not too sure if it's quite as strong. I found these lovely crackers, these little guys at Farm Boy. All the food that I used during the City Line segment was donated by Farm Boy. So thank you so much, Farm Boy. It is a fabulous place to shop if you haven't checked it out yet. I live in the West End, and the one I went to was down on Brown's Line. It is just phenomenal. So you've got some fruit, you've got some protein in here, some veggies, some great dip. That avocado dip is definitely going to keep them going for a while. And then also in here, I had some skewers before that I had to take out because they're a bit funky. So, and then you just have your traditional lunchbox too. So these ones are good. They're your metal. Sometimes people don't want to have plastic, which is fine. It really depends on the age. I use these much more for the older kids. Now these are some fab skewers that I've put onto just onto a toothpick. This is fantastic for kids building their own lunch. Give them a toothpick, give them a skewer, and say, what have we got? What is it that you like? What do you want to put onto this skewer? And then this is just cheese and grapes. And then you can flip it around so that having a little bit more grapes than cheese. I've got some bocconcini cheese on here, some lovely tomatoes, and some basil. I also did watermelon and feta cheese. You could buy a chunk of ham if they like that kind of thing, and then cube it. So anything that can go into kind of a cube can then be put onto a little toothpick or a skewer. Now, I have had this said to me before that, what are you talking about sending a toothpick or skewer with a kid? They're going to poke everybody who's next to them. If your child is that one who is going to take a toothpick and poke everybody in the hand, in the eye, or anything like that, either discuss it with them before and say, this is used for food only. This is not a weapon. This is not anything that you're going to take it off. It's going to go right back in the lunchbox, and that's it. If you don't think that this is something that your child can adhere to, then it's just not for them. There's another way. Talk to them about it, though, and say, hey, I think this is a great idea. I just worry a little bit that you're going to use the toothpick in another way, and that's not cool. So that's that one. Now, one of the other, this is a beautiful lunchbot one as well, which you can also get. Again, all of these came from well.ca. This was also one of my favorites, for the high school kids. So this is quite a big container. Again, my Post-its on the top. You need to put in your own labels. So the lid comes off quite easily. And then in here, oh my God, it smells so good. This is some butter chicken that was left over. Well, I used it as like a leftover. So quite often I'll make an Indian dinner or something like that. And then we have leftover rice. And then in this container, I just put a lovely yogurt dip, which they can have along with that as well. So lighting's not so great there. So this is fantastic because all they do is they take this, and at high school, they can go and put it in the microwave. You don't need to put everything into the thermos, which of course is always a fantastic idea. Isn't this a beautiful color, the Suli one? You can always put it into a thermos if you want, because then they're just ready to go. But this is also a fantastic way to do it because this can go in a microwave, which are available for high school students. So that's also a fantastic container. That's something that I probably would take for my lunch. And this as well is another couple of ones. If you need a little bit of glitter in your life, check out this little guy. This is lovely. This is Little Lunchbox Company. This does have the silicone action going on in here. And this is where I popped in a couple of the Made Good granola bars. I don't know if you've come across Made Good before. And then these are their lovely little bites that come in a package. We've got some beautiful fruit here, and this is the perfect snack size. Now, Made Good are one of my favorite bars because they're not too high in sugar. We don't want something really sugary that's sugar's sticking to their teeth and it's coated. These also have some vegetable and fruit powders in them. So they're getting an extra serving of fruits and vegetables in their day. They're not too big. They're just the right kind of size. These need to be, turn it upside down. These need to be in every single backpack, and they're allergen free. So they're super safe to take along to school for your kids. So I always have some of these hanging around. There's beautiful fruit ones. There's banana ones. This is, I believe, the chocolate chip ones. So throw a couple of these guys into the box, close up the lid. You know nothing's going to go anywhere. And for your little glitter lady, then that can go. Or glitter boy, they might like that too. Now this O Bento was a really, really easy one to open at the side. Again, lots of silicone going on with this one. So with a really good seal, not great for the kindergarten kids. What are the circle crackers with the hole from Farm Boy? I knew you were going to ask me that, Jen, because they're in the other room. I'll find out and I'll put it. Thank you for asking. They are so tasty. I opened them up and then I started to inhale them. They're in a bag. They're not in a box. And yeah, I can't think of it. Okay, so here I am struggling. I'm not taking all four edges off. So make sure your kids know what they're doing, not like the parents. So in this box, slightly larger compartments, which is great. So here I've got the fish cakes, which are in the Smart Kids breakfast and lunch meal plan. These are fantastic. Make a whole bunch of them, freeze them if you want. I've made some sweet potato fries, which are not only in Sprout Right's book, but then also in that meal plan. And then some leftover veggies. Really, really great to just put into all of these different holes. This is a little silicone extra that I got from well.ca. And then in there, I put some hummus. So this is fantastic because it's not going to collapse. You can just plop it in anywhere else that you want to. And then on goes the lid. Again, lots of silicone in here, so no leakage between compartments, because when I've done that before, more so in, I think, the metal ones, things do leak. They seem to jump over the edges and things like that. So this is the Obento, and this came in a pack of 2, which is perfect. And then just I wanted to show you another lunch box before. These are a genius invention, and I know I'm talking about gear, but I'm just talking about the gear because and then what we can put into it. So this is like a reusable Ziploc bag, this re-zip here, which you can rinse out, really easy to open. And then in here, whatever it is that your kids put down on their planner that I've got here, then they know, oh yeah, I can put a little bit of granola in here. I could put some apple slices in here with some cinnamon on it. Or of course it can go into some sort of box container too. But in here, have you come across these smaller peppers? This is not a hot pepper. You're not sending a habanero with your kid. And then these amazing small cucumbers. They absolutely love them. And then if you can just get a really small little container, which I did also have on City Line, then you can just pop some tzatziki, some hummus. They need fiber-rich food. They need foods that are going to keep them going. So the fruits and the vegetables, well, most kids think, oh, it's a bit young, boring, Mom. I really don't want to do that. As soon as you put those with a dip that they like, or sometimes they might just like to have it plain, a part of every single day, a part of every single lunch needs to have fruits and vegetables. You can't not do it. Every time, every day, fruits and vegetables. Half of their lunch needs to be that, along with the protein and the carbs mixed together. So when you do that and when you have that put together, then that really makes a comprehensive lunch for no matter what age they are. On the blog on sproutright.com, I go through the kindergarten to grade 2, then 3 to 6 with some suggestions, then 7 and 8, because that's really when, if they haven't already, I want them to be making their own lunches. You think, I know high school age kids that are still not making their own lunches. We are training them to go out into the world and fend for themselves. It is never too early to have them preparing food, chopping food, getting into making their own lunches. And this really is going to help create the structure. At the top of this, I've got some suggestions for proteins, carbs, whole list of different vegetables and fruits. So there's no, I don't know what to have. I don't know what to pick, something from the list. I will go shopping and I will get it. And then also what I want you to do, depending on the age of your child, you get to decide this. This is the lunchbox survey. When your kids come home and they still have some food left in their lunchbox and you say, well, what was wrong with it? I don't know, something, and then they make up some story. So I want you to send this. This is another free download on sproutright.com. Here we go. Let me just get it right the right way. So you can cut that in half, pop it into the lunchbox. If the lunchbox is all wet, throw it into one of these fantastic re-zips. And then they get to write down the food, then they liked it, they traded it, which sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Allergies for the younger kids, they wouldn't trade anything. Or yuck, didn't like it at all. Now, if you get the feedback from them right after they've eaten it, then you're going to get more information from them, which is basically what you want to do, because by the time they get home, they've already had another recess, they've played, they've had 4 more classes or 2 more classes, depending on what age they are, and they're not going to remember. So all of the different breakdowns of all the different foods and things like that you're going to see on the blog on Sprout Right include different ways to get more fruits and vegetables into your kids. It is just a situation that there's a lot of convenience food out there. It's easy to just throw in some sort of package of something, but you got to know the strength of your kids. One of my daughters is not a dip kid at all, and the other one is. So also at Farm Boy, it's in one of the lunch boxes. I'm not sure which one. At Farm Boy, they had these carrots that were cut like chips and then all wiggly. And they were fantastic for dipping, just amazing. So such great great foods that you can find out there. They also had these teeny tiny little cucumbers, the really small little I think it was in the pineapple, the really small little, no it wasn't, peppers that you can find, that sort of 2-bite peppers. There's a few seeds in there, but they can just leave that behind. They love eating those fun kind of foods. So as you go through the next couple of weeks, before, if you're in the US, so your kids are already back at school, but as you go over the next couple of weeks, start talking about and making lists already. Put pieces of paper up on the fridge, put them in the dining room, put them wherever, and get your kids to write down what it is that they like. One of the great things for especially older kids and high school kids, you can make things, hey there, Sherry, you can make things like, or give them, buy things like samosas. I had some samosas in one of my boxes on City Line, because sometimes you just need something to grab and go. And all of the pre-made foods and things like that that I found at Farm Boy were just fantastic. Buy one of those ready-made chickens, pull it apart, and then throw it into a wrap. You can put it into the thermos. You can jazz up the pasta with something like that. In this thermos, one second, I know that I did this. In this thermos here, which was a really cute little wee one, I put pesto on top of the ravioli. This was a beef ravioli from Farm Boy, and I bought a green pesto, so more of actually the pesto that I bought would be good for older kids because it had pine nuts in it. So Sunflower Kitchen makes a pesto, a red and a green pesto with sunflower seeds, so that would really be very school safe. So something like that is fantastic. The protein is inside the pasta is going to keep them going, and then you've got some lovely greens from the basil pesto, and sun-dried tomato pesto is what I put on this one. And then again, back to some of the gear. This little guy here, this has got some tomatoes in this side and some very colorful carrots, as you can see on this side. So it's cute. Get your Mabel's labels. Huge fan of Mabel's labels, and put it on there, because anybody that sees that is going to say, I like that, and I want to take it home with me so I can fill it up with all of my good stuff too. So lots and lots of ideas and lots of resources are available on sproutright.com, as well as the most recent blog posts. There are older blog posts too. And then you'll also find loads more in the Smart Kids breakfast and lunch meal plan, because breakfast is also really, really important to set them up for the day. Snacks for those younger kids, pretty much up to grade 6. You're going to have to give them something for after school as well in the coming weeks. I'm going to have some segments coming up and some information coming up about what to do in between school and then all the activities. How are you going to keep them nourished, not just eating out of a chip bag or something like that as you're driving all over the place. So really, really great segments and more information to come once we get over this back to school phase. So keep on posting here, please. I'm going to open up, if my assistant Kristen hasn't already, post all of your questions. What can I do here? What can I do there? Go and watch the City Line segment. I will post it on sproutright.com and see the beautiful spread that I have across the table on all the foods, from things like mini pitas stuffed with tuna, pickles. I also did a little bit of watercress with some mashed egg, and just into a little pita is just a beautiful balance and easy for those really small foods. Get your grade 7 and 8s making their own food. Sticking everything onto a skewer is a fabulous way to go. So I hope that's going to give you some inspiration, some ideas of how to go, and be in touch, because we do have lots more ideas to keep you going, whether it's for just after Labor Day for back to school, or you're pulling your hair out in October or November or anything like that. Thanks so much for joining me today, and do check out well.ca for a lot of the gear. Farm Boy did a fabulous job of providing all the food for me to make into these gorgeous lunches, and then the Made Good bars are my absolute favorite and my go-to, so you can check out those too. All right, thanks so much, guys, and I will see you again in a couple of weeks. Take care.